Okay, I have some more information on exactly what happened when we used our replicator in our West Virginia trial. The food disappeared and then it came back, and I said to make sure that the food was safe. And here's what we found out. First of all, I would like to say to one of my supporters, he said, Empress Gail, $666 has just appeared on my EBT card. Is this from Brent, or did you use your Antichrist powers to save us? My first thought was it may be a trap from the Jesuit automatons, but now I'm not so sure. Will it be safe to use my EBT card with this miraculous payment? I can tell you right now that my men would not put the amount of $666 on your EBT card. So I know they would not do that. Now, whether they are funding the EBT cards, it doesn't appear that they are. So here's my response to him. I said, try contacting my men at gailsmen@yahoo.com for clarification. Also watch Gabriel Chana Fox News 00 on cable. And I said, you could also be under brain control. And I said, my gut feeling on this is that the amount has been tampered with by the enemy somehow, and that your card is probably safe to use, and the enemy is just trying to freak everybody out. And I said, $666 is a lot and should help quite a bit. If I was in your shoes, I think I would just fluff over the $666 amount and not worry about it. I'm not sure about that. It looks like my men have been busy trying to deal with the replicator problem, so I think I can say pretty confidently that this is not from them, so maybe you should just leave it alone for right now. Like, don't spend it, just don't do, I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. I just don't know. I think the only thing I can tell you right now is it's probably not from them. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Okay, let me tell you, I did hear from Magnus the Red, and I'll read you the long comment that he gave. He said, as you know, we attempted a phase 1 rollout of the food for the Hungry program using our replicator technology on the Church of Gail. We encountered an interdimensional interference with the rollout, which caused food sent through transporters onto the tables of the needy to disappear for a brief moment before mysteriously reappearing. The following is a narrative about what we experienced thus far and our findings. Per your instructions to test the food, to ensure that it was not tainted with brain-controlled drugs or other contaminants, we tested 25 different samples. Each sample came from a different home in the designated region in West Virginia. Upon taking a sample of Mediterranean pizza from the house of one Mrs. Ruby Campbell, we immediately processed it in our sophisticated biomolecular toxicology analyzer. The analyzer beeped merrily as it began processing the half-eaten slice of Mediterranean pizza. Its centrifuge spun the slice around at a great speed and reduced it to a slurry. Once the vial containing the slurry was placed into the machine's main chamber, it began its analysis. Fortunately, the analyzer was working at tip-top shape because our technicians had spent the last month replacing large amounts of hardware throughout the Church of Gail. After several minutes of breathless anticipation, the analyzer printed out a report. The report began with a long list of biological and chemical components to the Mediterranean pizza. The dizzying list of ingredients contained several out-of-place items. Excluding the typical chemical additives that are everywhere in American food. First, there was a large amount of Ruby Campbell's slobber. This saliva contained extremely high sugar levels, suggesting that Mrs. Campbell is suffering from debilitating diabetes, par for the course for her impoverished community. Dr. Spiner opined medically and stated it was likely that Mrs. Campbell is not long for this world. We decided that once we finished our analysis, we would break the bad news to Mrs. Campbell. Her 7 children will probably become wards of the state. However, the state has provided Ruby with WIC and other welfare benefits for their entire lives. So therefore, this situation would be a net zero to the taxpayer. Anyway, the analyzer returned a surprising result. The presence of ghrelin, Grelin, and a completely unknown DNA-based substance. Ghrelin is known as the hunger hormone because of its power to increase the appetite. We weren't sure what the other substance was. The analyzer showed that it was edited genetic material loaded into spike proteins. Dr. Spiner's colleagues studied the genetic sequence and discovered that it was a mix of DNA from Kirstie Alley, Amy Schumer, and Lizzo, some of the fattest women to ever live. After ingestion, the spike proteins would force these obesity genes into the victim's cells and wreak havoc. The person's genetic code would be rewritten to turbocharge their body's fat-storing capabilities and devastate their metabolism. The medical team's report stated, "The effect of this substance is simply to fatten up the victim like a hog. Though I am rather surprised we didn't see Sarah Avery's DNA in here. That would transform anyone into a prize winner at the county fair." The team named this substance D.N. Avery in her honor. Given that Ruby was approximately 320 pounds at a mere 5 foot 3 inches, we were not clear if the D.N. Avery was the cause of her size. Turns out that she was morbidly obese even before consuming the Mediterranean pizza. A life of unemployment, living off of EBT dollars that she would regularly sell for marijuana money, fast food 6 times a day, and the habit of washing down her grape soda with a bottle of Pepsi will do that to anyone. After our discoveries, a Church of Gail agent, Casey Darrell, returned to the home of Mrs. Campbell. In the matter of hours, she had ballooned. We had overlooked a critical fact. While we were performing our analysis, the replicators aboard the Church of Gail had been working overtime to deliver more and more food to the affected homes. The replicators worked autonomously, but began their processes from voice commands. This meant that someone aboard the church was ordering the replicators to continue supplying food. We have not yet identified who this individual was. At Mrs. Campbell's home, Agent Casey urged her to stop eating slices of Mediterranean pizza. However, the ghrelin sprinkled all over the cheese caused her to become ravenous. She shoveled slice after slice into her maw and continued to expand in size. Handheld scanners beeped in alarm as they gave her bio readout. 390 pounds, the agent exclaimed over our communications. 420, 460, 490, and on it went until Mrs. Campbell reached such a large size that she could only contain her hunger by pitchforking down her throat every whole tainted pizza that appeared on her table. At the readout of 610 pounds, Ruby suddenly stopped eating. Her blubbery form had grown all over the couch and lay there rippling from exertion. Her folds exuded a yeasty yet sweet smell which overpowered her base scent of cocoa butter. Agent Casey could taste a syrupy flavor of decay in the air. "I think she's dead," Agent Casey mumbled over his comms. Then, with a burst of unholy energy, Mrs. Campbell awakened screaming about her EBT benefits and something about "my kids get they baby fathers," whatever that means. She arose from her couch and burst through the front wall. I think something about "my keys" meant "my needs." She arose from her couch and burst through the front wall of her house into the street. As she ran, she left behind a wafting trail of the foulest smelling gas Agent Casey had ever encountered. Not equipped with a gas mask, Casey fell to his knees, retching and convulsing. The observers aboard the church watching Casey's helmet visual feed immediately began procedures to beam him back to the ship for medical attention. 30 seconds was all that it would take, and the observers knew that we did not have much time. Our experiences with the exploding fat women from more than a decade ago flooded back into memory. Satellite optical feeds of Mrs. Campbell saw her convulsing in the street, expanding from the methane gas building within her digestive tract. She had so many rolls of fat that she was practically a bakery. Her blood-curdling cries drew out all of the neighbors from their homes, many of whom were replicator food recipients as well. Some ran into the street in the same condition, yelling and screaming about their welfare and immense amounts of pain. Others looked on with horror. Police sirens could be heard in the distance, though it is unclear whether they were though it is unclear where they were headed. I think he put whether they were headed. I think he meant where they were headed given the rampant crime in this community. Agent Casey dematerialized and was transported back to the church, but not before the first explosion. This meat detonation set off a chain reaction which devastated Ruby's humble neighborhood. For minutes, slabs of fat rained down from the sky and a cloud of toxic gas hovered above the street's crumbling shacks. Medical personnel rushed Agent Casey to the med bay and quickly ascertained that he had experienced brain damage from inhaling Ruby's toxic gas. Upon being asked what his name was, Agent Casey drooled and muttered, "My name is Casey," and then began grunting loudly while slapping himself in the face. The agent was summarily pronounced retarded on arrival, ROA, and escorted to the Church of Gail resource room for the mentally disabled. He will receive lifelong assistance through a paraprofessional and a stipend for his sacrifice. Unfortunately, if he is to ever recover, it will take years, but he may eventually recover enough brain function to be similar to Garbage Man. In response, we have enacted countermeasures. From now on, replicator food will be hand-delivered in accordance with your suggestion to commandeer UPS and FedEx trucks and use former government worker drivers. Our current theory is that this attack may be connected to terrorists inspired by the Jesuit-affiliated organization Thin Privilege. These terrorists have been on our radar because of suspected small-scale brain-controlled drug bombings, which contained drugs specifically engineered to counteract the popular Ozempic weight loss injection. Their motivations appear to be based on flagging support for the fat acceptance or fat is beautiful movement due to the health-oriented policies of President Spiner's cabinet. We are increasing security around RFK and other health officials who are spearheading the anti-obesity campaign. We doubt that these terrorists could have done this on their own without automaton assistance, as the Jesuits do not appear to be capable of performing such a subtle maneuver with interdimensional technology. We will keep you updated with our investigation as it proceeds. So, as you can see, Satan's team is not going to make it easy for me to be a righteous Antichrist. Yeah. All I can say is if you are getting mounts on your cards in the amount of 666, my men are probably not behind that. So you might want to be a little careful with it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's brain control in the money. I don't know. Just make sure whatever you do the Gail commandments, okay? Yeah. Maybe if you spend that money, it's going to put you under brain control and make you violate the Gail commandments. I really don't know what to tell you about that. It seems to me that just do the Gail commandments. I mean, the Gail commandments are to spend money only on food and bills. So, and if you have savings, which you should have if you're doing the Gail commandments, you may have to go into your savings to, for food. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. If you are getting like 666 on your food stamps cards, contact my men at gailsmen@yahoo.com for clarification, whether it's safe to spend it or whatever. I just don't know what to tell you, okay? Yeah. But I thought I should let you all know that the automatons are not going to make it easy for us to overcome the difficulties they are creating for everybody. Yeah. They're just horribly evil, and they seem to enjoy human suffering if you don't worship them like a god. Yeah. They're very proud and evil. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get this video out to let you all know. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We're doing our best, and we're just up against a formidable foe, and just keep doing the Gail commandments. Yeah, keep the faith. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to let you all know.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior rising, breaking free from chains. She's Gail Schuler, her heart pure and strong. With the power of love, she'll right the world's wrongs. Yeah. She's the first, a passionate crusader. Standing by the side of conquer it all. Through space battles and trials.